How's everybody doing today? Yeah? Well, good. Listen, this is great. Really, this is special for me because I had written Step Up and Lead a few years ago. And you know what? Listen, I think we're moved to action from either from inspiration or from desperation, quite honestly. And the first book that I had ever written, I was inspired to write it. And it was a very interesting thing because I wasn't a writer who became a firefighter. I'm a firefighter who somehow became a writer. And I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. But it's special for me today because the book has literally, it's kind of found some traction in the fire service, Step Up and Lead and Step Up Your Teamwork. But today in particular, my family's here in the front row. My wife, Laura, and my three boys, Thomas, Nicholas, and Frankie. And I'm excited about that. And anyone that's seen my wife, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. I always thought like I was a pretty decent looking guy, but everyone that meets my wife goes, how did you get her? So I guess I'm not, that great. But I can tell you the reason why my wife married me, and she will admit this, is because I'm a romantic. I promised her if she married me, I would bring her around the world. And on our honeymoon, I brought her to Epcot Center, knocked it all out in one day, and it was beautiful. She learned that she has to read the fine print after that. But I'm doing okay because we're here in Myrtle Beach, right? I want to make an assumption right now before I start. I want to make the assumption that everybody in this room wants to be successful. Am I right in that? Okay, good, because that's what we're going to talk about today. I've achieved some success in certain areas of my life. Now, I've just completed my 25th year in the fire service, and I can't even believe that it's gone through that fast. But I work as a deputy chief in Hudson County, New Jersey, and I'd written a few books, as they mentioned. I've done some speaking. I speak professionally about 40 times a year. Prior to me becoming a speaker, there were certain people that had inspired me along the way because I was a kid just trying to find my way. Listen, in high school, I graduated in the half of the class that made the top half possible. You know what I mean? I was trying to find my way. 20 years ago, I'm sitting in a convention like this, and a man, a war hero, comes up and he starts telling his story, and he inspired me to want to do great things. And the irony of today is it was Cleve McClary. So, I mean, it's special for me to find out that he was here also speaking. So what I want to talk about is something called Flashpoint. And in short, 1 degree makes a difference. Now, I don't know if my PowerPoint slides are going to come through okay, but it really doesn't matter whether they do or whether they don't. 1 degree makes a difference because think about this. You take a pot of boiling water, and you put that water, or not even boiling water, just water, and you put some heat underneath, and at 211 degrees, you have hot water. At 212 degrees, that water boils. Boiling water produces steam. Steam can produce a locomotive. And it's 1 degree of difference. And one of the things that I like to talk to our members about, because I'm still leading a team. I'm on the front lines right now leading a team, and I like to talk to our members about finding that extra degree so we can compete at the highest level. So, yeah, we're going to talk about team building, but specifically, I want to talk about leadership because the second assumption I want to make is that everybody in this room understands that they are a leader. Anyone in the fire service is a leader because realize this, when you arrive on an engine or a ladder company, when you arrive to solve somebody's problem, you are very rarely their first choice. People call us when they can no longer solve the situation themselves. People call us when they need somebody else. And I think sometimes we overlook that. So the thing that I want to share with you today are what I call the 8 degrees to help you reach your own personal flashpoint as an individual and as a team. And I can tell you that I have failed many times in my life before I had found a way to succeed. And one of the things I realized, once you realize how to succeed in one area of your life, all you have to do is continue to duplicate the same activities you did in one area, and you'll duplicate success in another area. This has worked for me. The very first thing is to set your expectations up front. Too many people in leadership positions do not set the expectations. What they do is they fill a position. And I speak to leaders throughout the country all the time, in and out of the fire service. And when we start talking about expectations and clarity, being very clear in what you want to accomplish as a leader of an organization, many times I see that light bulb go off where they say, hey, I have not done that yet. Maybe they're a positional leader. They took the position and they're trying to keep things status quo. That's not leadership. Maybe they don't want to get uncomfortable. That's not leadership. You know what? Leadership is all about getting uncomfortable. I'll propose this to you. If you're not uncomfortable in your role as a leader, then you're not reaching your potential as a leader. Because it's all about getting uncomfortable. That's all I've ever done. So when we talk about setting expectations, the very first thing that I want to encourage you to do is communicate your mission. What is it that we want to accomplish? What do we want to be known for? Group C, Kearney Fire Department, where I work, we want to be known for three things: courtesy, courage, and commitment. Commitment to each other, commitment to the people we serve, courtesy towards each other, courtesy towards the people we serve. Everything that we do has to fall into one of those three categories, if not all three categories. Otherwise, we're not accomplishing our goal. But we speak about these things to each other, and that's why those expectations are up front. They're easier to be met. Another expectation: we expect everybody to know their job, everybody to do their job, and everybody to teach their job. Everybody has to know what their job is on a fire ground. We all know, listen, when you're on an engine company, you know what your job is. Your job is to secure a water supply. Your job is to choose the appropriate size line and advance it to the appropriate place, to locate, confine, extinguish the fire, to protect occupants. We know what we do. When you're on an engine or a ladder company, realize that you really only have to master 4 or 5 skills. You have to know a lot about a lot, but you have to master 4 or 5 skills. And if everybody on that company masters 4 or 5 skills, you'll have a great company. If everybody knows their job and does their job. Ladder companies, what do? We ladder the building. We control utilities, right? We force entry. We search. We vent enter search. We put holes on roof. Everybody, how many people in ladder companies do we have in the room right now? I can't even actually see out there if hands are going up. But people on ladder companies, you know why we cut holes in roofs, right? Yeah, well, no, not so the products of combustion could be released. Ladder companies actually cut holes in roofs so they could look down into the building and watch what real firefighters do when they're working. And right now, you just realize I spent my entire career on an engine company. Here's the other thing: ownership mentality. Would you agree with me that one of the biggest problems plaguing America today is we have too much entitlement mentality? There's too many people out there that want something without having to work for it. And my kids will tell you, this is one of the beautiful things about talking to you in front of my children. They'll tell you these are the things that I tell them. If you want something in life, you have to go out and you have to earn it, because nobody's going to give it to you. And that's ownership mentality. But ownership mentality is something that I expect from every member within my organization. I don't care if they are brand new or if they've been there for 25 years. One of the members of my organization was getting close to retirement. He was about 4 months away from retirement. And all of a sudden, he had a great 24 and a half years. But all of a sudden, he's showing up to work bitter. He's angry. He's saying things like this: I don't care anymore. You ever hear a firefighter say that? I don't care anymore. What do you do when somebody says that? I'm going to share with you something that I do. The very first thing I do is I bring them in my office and I sit down and I say, what's going on? Why? Because one of the most underutilized skills we have out there in society today is people don't listen. Most people listen only with the intentions of saying what they want to say, not listening with the intentions of trying to understand. So I said, what's going on? And he went on and he told me some of the things that he was upset about. He was upset he didn't get promoted, thought that he was passed over when he shouldn't have been, not even passed over, thought that the list died when he was sitting at number 1, when it should not have. And he went through a number of reasons that he was upset. And I said, well, listen, you've had 24 and a half great years here, and we have a bunch of young new firefighters down there. You're one of the best firefighters I've ever worked with. I can't afford to have you walking around saying, I don't care anymore, because understand this. Those of us that know you know the real you, but these guys down there, they're never going to know the real you. They're going to know the bitter, angry, upset person that walks around saying those things. When you have this wealth of knowledge, and the best thing you could do, because he once told me that the most important thing for him when he leaves is to make sure all the people on our group are taken care of. He once said that to me, and I said, did you mean that when you said it? He said, yeah. I said, well, then help me accomplish that goal. Pass your knowledge on to people. Pass it on. Know your job, do your job, teach your job, and have ownership mentality. And that starts at the beginning. We instill that from people right at the early on, but we have to keep reminding them too, because everybody has those moments where they have that I don't care anymore moment. But be careful what you say, because understand, people are always watching. You're always influencing people. We fail to realize this. But anytime your mouth is moving and people's attention is on you, you're influencing them, for better or for worse. Anytime you're doing something, anytime you roll your eyes, you influence somebody, for better or for worse. Your actions, it's your intentions. You know, people don't really care about intentions. People judge us by our actions. So keep that in mind. The second thing, well, first of all, I want to end with this. Set expectations up front, because every organization's culture is created by design or default. And if you don't specifically have conversations like the one I told you with that firefighter about to retire, then I'm now creating my culture by default, and I'm letting people like that take the lead and making other people bitter or angry, because attitudes are contagious. You have to ask yourself, is yours worth catching? Second one is